In the world of Naruto, we've met a lot of different characters, in particular when it comes to the Uchiha clan, with some of them having memorable moments like Itachi Uchiha and others being iconic villains such as Madara Uchiha. But the issue that Naruto's sequel manga has had with Sarada is trying to take a new generation Uchiha and have her fill the shoes left behind by such larger-than-life characters, including her own father, which one could argue set the character up for failure. But I do believe the direction taken for Sarada's character by the two main writers of Boruto's story, Ukyo Kodachi, the former Boruto writer, and Masashi Kishimoto, the Naruto series creator, is a path that stands to make Sarada a memorable character in her own way, and it could have her end up being the best written female character in the Naruto franchise when this is all said and done. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video essay, where we take a look at the path and the importance of Sarada Uchiha's character. From the moment that Sarada was introduced in chapter 700 in Naruto's manga, it quickly became clear that Kishimoto was taking a different approach with her character than the other Uchiha who we've seen in the manga, which made sense from a thematic perspective. After all, she was the first Uchiha to be born after the cycle of hatred between the reincarnations of Ashura and Angel was first broken. What was once a cycle of hatred had been replaced by a new cycle of love, and not in a romantic sense per se. With the firstborn children of Naruto and Sasuke, in particular Sasuke's daughter Sarada, we're getting a chance to see what happens when young tree buds that were planted are allowed to grow through proper nourishment and not through growing on a ground that is soaked in the tears of the brokenhearted that were betrayed by the shinobi system and the blood of those who died as cogs in the wheel of the shinobi system itself. Boruto, in particular Sarada, each represent a new era. In chapter 700, we see Sarada carrying out the tradition of the Uzumaki clan, being stalked by someone from their generation, much like how Minato watched over Kushina from afar and Hinata watched over Naruto from a distance. But here with Sarada, it was less of a romantic interest and more of a strong pull towards a childhood friend and a classmate who had very similar circumstances as her during a time when she was trying to find herself. They were both the first children born after the cycle of hatred ended, but both were missing the love of their very fathers who broke said cycle. While Naruto and Sasuke each loved their children, due to Sarada and Boruto both being children themselves, they couldn't grasp that due to who their fathers were to the village itself, the greater shinobi world, they couldn't show love in the way that you would normally expect from a father to show to their child. Whereas their classmates, including Shikadai, had parents, fathers who were always home each and every night, Boruto and Sarada, they had fathers who they weren't always home. It led to Boruto painting the Hokage monument in chapter 700 in order to get his father's attention before the 5 Kage summoned. But watching as he did so with Sarada, and she had a sour look on her face as she watched and listened to Naruto lecture Boruto about why being Boruto's father isn't Naruto's #1 priority and how he knows it's a painful experience for Boruto, but as Boruto walks down the path of being a ninja, he will learn to endure and appreciate Naruto's dilemma as a Hokage and as a father. This left Sarada with a sour look because it's something that we learn later on is something that she's been told by her mother Sakura more than once when it came to Sarada's own father Sasuke. His role to the village is more important than her desire to have Sasuke as a present father. Whenever Sarada would ask Sakura about her father, we were shown in the flashback that Sakura would always tell Sarada that Sasuke was on an important mission for the village and she would tap her on the forehead if the conversation went on for too long. In Naruto chapter 700, we see Sarada make that connection with Boruto after he gets told the same thing under different context by Naruto, and it leads to her telling Sakura that she and Boruto are similar when it comes to their fathers, and she cracks a smile as a result. It was a sign for Sarada that she wasn't the only one alone when it came to dealing with the absent father and dealing with the burden of loving a father who, due to their position, can't always put you first. It was Kishimoto in the final chapter of the Naruto manga, both setting the stage for the first sequel, Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage and the Scarlet Spring, which would serve as chapters 701 to chapter 710 to close the book on the Naruto manga story while testing out Sarada as a main character. But it was also Kishimoto giving us a glimpse into his own personal life and the dilemma that he faced while he was drawing Naruto's manga. Just as Naruto and Sasuke had to put their work for the village above their family, Kishimoto often had to put his own work as Naruto's mangaka before his own child and wife, to the point where his own child held some resentment, not even calling him father, but referring to him as the guy who draws Naruto. And by Kishimoto's own words, he worked so hard drawing the manga that there were times where he passed out and fell down the stairs to be found by his wife, only going to get back up and continue drawing in order to meet his deadline. Naruto and Sasuke's new roles had offered a meta commentary on Kishimoto's own situation, but it also offered a good vehicle to develop Sarada and Boruto on different levels by having each respond to this new reality of their father in very different ways. Whereas Boruto turned into the embodiment of daddy wasn't there and that whole meme of Boruto being a spoiled brat, which no longer applies by the way, Sarada through Naruto guidance, she went on a different path, one that quickly had her understanding and accepting the importance of her father's circumstances. Her seeing Boruto in Naruto chapter 701 playing a hide-and-seek combat drill with Naruto, where Boruto's both grateful of the training that his father's giving him, but also complaining that it's a shadow clone and not the real Naruto, Sarada begins to feel that longing to spend more time with her own father and question what's around her. Why was it that Boruto's father, the Hokage, for as busy as he was running around the village, still found a way to make time for at least to send a shadow clone to assist Boruto in training, but Sarada's own father couldn't do the same. She knew nothing about her father to the point she even began looking through the books in her library and in the public library about her clan in the anime and in Naruto's Gaiden manga. She outright is questioning her mother as if Sakura had told her the truth about her father, with Sarada being skeptical of every response Sakura gave her, which ultimately led to Sarada wanting to find the location of her father by chasing after Naruto, hoping to learn more about her father Sasuke, who she had been told she looks very identical to, but instead of meeting a loving father, she was met with a sword to the face, the very parent, as the very parent who she had been searching for didn't even recognize her at first, despite Naruto just previously telling her that her face looked identical to Sasuke's to a point it should be like looking into a mirror. A father who had been gone from the village for so long that he couldn't even recognize his own daughter. It was something for Sarada that you could tell absolutely destroyed her. The other children in her generation, including Boruto, none of their fathers would have mistaken their child for an enemy, yet Sasuke was moments away from theoretically killing Sarada. At least that's as far as her eyes could actually see. Her first impression was that of a cold-blooded killer, which is something that was needed for a character to understand what type of work her father truly does. Yet because in the manga she closes her eyes when Sasuke is saying her name, she missed that crucial moment where Sasuke reached out to wipe away her tears, but then pulled his hand away in shame. She spent all this time looking for a father, wanting his love, yet in that moment of his vulnerability, it showed that she wasn't able to see it, and you can see, and that's how you get that line of her saying she knew right away that Sasuke was her father with just one look, almost as if to say, I have no memory of you, and yet I knew exactly who you were. Why didn't you recognize me? Why didn't you recognize your own daughter? At this point in time, an 11-year-old Sarada was emotionally confused, not even sure where she belonged in the world. She questioned who her birth parents were, since neither of them actually wore glasses. Sarada didn't feel wanted because her father didn't appear to care that he couldn't recognize her, which again is because Sarada's own eyes were closed when Sasuke pulled his hand back, which led to her questioning everything else that Sakura told her about her father. Was he even away from the village on important business like Sakura told her? Did Sasuke even want her? Sarada had questioned. Now the real beauty in this moment is that in the same arc where Sarada herself comes to the conclusion that she wants to be Hokage, but she's also learning firsthand that being Hokage means carrying the secrets and the burdens for the village that hurt those who are kept from the truth. She herself is living that experience by being unsure of her father's love for her, his need for her, yet we as the audience, we get the layers pulled back even further in the manga events of Naruto Gaiden. For instance, in chapter 705, Sasuke informs the Boruto Kage, Sakura, and Shikamaru that he's been tracing back Kaguya's roots in the last few years, and that his mission is got to be kept top secret only to the Kage and the counselors that are in that room in that moment. It was Sasuke giving up the time in the village that could have been spent to actually bond with his young daughter, and it's why Naruto looks hurt when he sees Sarada leaving and he tries to tell her how amazing her father is as a shinobi, even bigging up Sasuke as Sasuke battled Shin Uchiha, telling Sarada that Sasuke can do a lot more than what he was showing in that battle. For Sarada's development, she needed to go through the pain that she felt there, because it brings up a memory of Sarada that she had in Naruto chapter 708, where she recalls Sasuke and Sakura teaching Sarada how to walk, and the memory of Sakura telling Sarada that Sasuke can't return to the village because of how deeply he cares about them, and that one day in the future Sarada will understand. It took her feeling this pain and seeing the Shin Uchiha battle to truly understand her father's choices and the consequences of those choices. Love is always shown in different ways. Not everybody shows love and affection the same way. Sasuke isn't overly affectionate, but he shows love through his actions. That desire to not lose his family again, to not lose his village, is what led to him investigating Kaguya's clan. That memory was needed for her to appreciate the scene before her, where Sasuke in chapter 709 is shown in the manga tending to a wounded Sakura after he steps into the Shin battle because of the protector side of Sasuke is what led to Sarada seeing this and stepping up to one-shot the Shin clones with the single punch in her effort to protect her mother, fighting alongside her father, and in the moment in Naruto chapter 710 where Sarada is told that their feelings are what are always going to keep them connected. For someone who's been seeking out answers and most importantly love from her father, this is a pivotal moment meant to set up the goodbye scene where Sasuke leaves the village again after spending a couple of days with his family. The whole reason for this is so that she can know her father was walking away with a smile on his face. It was to gain clarity that she needed. It wasn't that her father didn't love her mother. It was because he loved her as much as he did that he was willing to sacrifice the time that he could spend with them in order to protect them from something greater. But regardless of how far away they were, as Sasuke told her and as Sakura told her, their feelings would always connect them, which goes back to the original point. She is the first of two children born after the cycle of hatred had been broken, and we see her coming to the realization that she wants to be Hokage. Her interactions with her father, seeing what he sacrificed for the village, and being in the presence of Naruto, someone who is now her idol, is what made her want to become Hokage, and it gave her life a purpose now because she got to see the light and darkness that comes from both of those positions. She was able to see that love requires sacrifice, something that Boruto hadn't yet learned. But based on everything we see from Naruto chapter 700 all the way up until chapter 710, Sarada was already a little bit ahead of Boruto in the emotional maturity section, knowing that the two of them were similar because of their father's roles, but not yet fully understanding how these two powerful men, demigods in their own right, were being called upon to sacrifice time with their very family, even at the knowledge of knowing how painful it was to their children in the process. And as she looks at the photo in chapter 710 of herself and Sasuke and Sakura, she knows why Sasuke does what he does, and then by extension she knows why Boruto's father does what he does. They aren't neglecting their family so much as making the painful decision because there are things bigger than their own selfish desire to be with their children, which is why Sakura told Sarada that one of these days she would understand, and why Naruto tells Boruto in chapter 700 one day he'll understand if he continues to be a shinobi. Sarada learned that lesson before Boruto did, which is critical to her role moving forward, because in order for her to be the Hokage in the future, she needed to understand there are painful moments where your duty to the village comes before your duty to your own family. With Sarada now in possession of a firm goal and seeking the noble path to become Hokage and not seek the position through forceful methods like her father tried to do after Kaguya's defeat where he tried to kill Naruto, Sarada embracing her genetics, it's very important to look at how her being the daughter of Sasuke and Sakura is a bigger deal than we initially thought. Naruto sees it right away in Naruto Gaiden's manga, saying that while she might look like Sasuke, Sarada has the traits of Sakura's personality, a lot of those traits, which makes Naruto joke that she's probably got Sakura's hot temper, something that Chocho more than once confirms in Naruto Gaiden's manga volume, saying that Sarada can get very dark and angry when she gets scary. It's something needed for a character because the Uchiha are a clan that feel love deeper than other clans. It's heightened to extremes, hence their Sharingan grows stronger with more hatred that they feel. But the Sharingan at every step of its evolution, it can be traced back to the emotional love in a very significant way. She's a contrast to her own father, someone who throughout the 72 volumes of Naruto's manga was for the most part portrayed as being stoic and hard to read until his emotions finally got the better of him, like when he felt the true fear fighting Orochimaru in the Forest of Death, shock when he learned the truth about Itachi, and bloodlust and craziness when he gave into madness during the 5 Kage summit. With Sarada, we see someone who isn't just emotionally intelligent, but she's also in touch with her own emotions as well, and isn't afraid to show vulnerability that comes from those emotions either. At times, we see her angry, and when she gets super angry, she has moments where she uses her mother's iconic verbal tick, Shanaro, but we also see her blushing at times isn't openly crying for Boruto when she realizes that the Hidden Leaf Village is hunting down Boruto for the false allegations of killing Naruto, which leads to her awakening her Mangekyo Sharingan due to the combination of that fact and the trauma that came from being told of Naruto's death. But it's because of how sensitive she is and how attuned she is to her emotions that she was even able to get this far, for being honest, and it sets her apart from some of the more iconic Uchiha who we've seen, whereas they powered their ocular powers through negative emotions like hatred and sadness from the loss of love. Sarada, every step of the way, has been developing along the path of blossoming through the positive emotions rooted in compassion. Her one Tomo Sharingan was confirmed to have awakened when she was a small child, making herself sick, worrying about Sasuke according to Chakra in the anime. Her two Tomo Sharingan formed when she was acting out of desperation to protect Boruto from Deepa's carbon armor projectiles in episode 175. Her three Tomo Sharingan is confirmed to have awakened in Sasuke Shinden, the teacher's star pupil, during a training exercise with her father during Sasuke's mission, where her desire to not let her father down and be of assistance to him caused her third Tomo to awaken. Her Mangekyo, as we just went over, was partially awakened due to the shock and despair that came from being told of Naruto's death, but also her heartbreaking for Boruto's situation, where everyone, including her own father and Boruto's own sensei, Sasuke, was out to kill him for something that he didn't do. It really cannot be understated how much of an impact that Naruto had on Sarada, and why her wanting to be someone who walks in his footsteps to be Hokage is so significant, because Naruto was more than a benchmark for her. This is more than just paying off the symbolism by having Boruto want to actually walk in Sasuke's shoes and Sarada walk in Naruto's shoes. When she was the one who was doubting her own lineage and her relationship to her parents, Naruto was the one who stood firm when she wanted to leave the village, and he was the one who pointed her in the direction of rediscovering the emotions that she felt for her family, including her memory of Sasuke and Sakura teaching her how to walk as a toddler. He's the one who helped mend the deteriorating relationship that she was having with her family due to her own doubts brought upon her family keeping secrets. And this is important because we learned in episode 205 of Boruto's anime that Sarada found herself jealous of Boruto, openly saying that she often finds herself wondering what life could have been like if Naruto was her father instead of Sasuke, which, as a side note, I've done a whole 3-part video series, What If Naruto Married Sakura? So if you're curious about that, watch those videos. And that makes the moment in Naruto chapter 700 hit home that much harder, where she looks sad as she sees Boruto and Naruto, and her interactions with Boruto and Naruto Gaiden, it hits in a much different way, because she sees Boruto at this point in time doesn't truly understand what it is that he has, which sparked her having a secret jealousy of her childhood friend and her childhood teammate. Wanting to walk in Naruto's footsteps is further shown when we see how she tries to welcome Kawaki into the village when Naruto first brings him into the village and is walking him around, because she is trying to carry on Naruto's own will of fire, where he treats everyone in the village like their family, and most importantly, he tries to form bonds with people to find common ground and understanding. As we see in episode 24, where she's shown looking up at the Hokage monument, she's looking at Naruto and the other Hokage faces, dreaming of having her own face carved up there, just as Naruto once looked up at the Hokage's face, vowing to do the same, just like how Naruto did in Naruto Volume 27 when he left with Jiraiya to train for 2.5 years. It's what makes Sarada standing with Boruto and Team 7 on the Hokage monument and Boruto's movie novelization hit that much harder, because Sarada is being narratively positioned in the Hokage position by constantly having subtle reminders to the audience of her goal and her drive to reach that level. Genetically speaking, she has both the genetic traits that she was gifted from her father in the form of the Sharingan Kekkei Genkai, and she was born with the strong aptitude to use fire release due to her being an Uchiha, and it's because of her Kekkei Genkai that when she trains with Sakura in the anime, Sarada is now able to copy her mother's chakra control and apply it to her own training afterward. As we learn in Sasuke Retsuden, the Uchiha and the Heavenly Stardust, which also has an official manga adaptation, we know that her parents have taken a note in her daughter's rapid advancement, with Sasuke being shocked when Sakura tells Sasuke that Sarada has recently taken to studying the stars and the celestial bodies, which, given that this story takes place after the events of the Momoshiki arc, is actually something that furthers her dream of being Hokage. If she's gonna be Hokage one day, having a knowledge base of things that are from the heavens is required just as much as having a firm grasp on what ninjutsu is, because gone are the days where this is strictly being a dispute between ninja villages. Now Now in recent era, you have a growing number of Otsutsuki, a group of parasitic aliens who are descending from the skies, and as we see in Boruto's manga, when she realizes that she and Mitsuki are being left behind, it lights a fire inside of her to make her start training harder because she knows that she needs to reach a level of Otsutsuki in order to be strong enough to stand beside Boruto during those battles, which is simple evolution. Either you evolve in the face of the threats that are coming for you, or you find yourself being destroyed by those threats. We've seen Sarada progress at a very rapid rate, something I go into extensive detail in my video titled Why 12-Year-Old Sarada at the end of Boruto Part 1 is already Kage level, but so as to not repeat those points that I made in depth, I'm going to keep this one brief. Like the other half-blood Uchiha who we met in the series, Itachi's girlfriend Izumi Uchiha, we see that she, like Izumi, Sarada initially had a hard time keeping the Sharingan on for extended periods, which is actually proven because she directly tells us as much during the first tuning exams, where she states that stamina is her issue using the Sharingan because of the chakra consumption is taxing on her body, just as it was for Izumi, though Sarada's credit needs to be given to her because she's built up her stamina over time, particularly after both Sasuke and Sakura work with her in the car actuation arc, where Sasuke trains her on the mastery of the Sharingan Eye Insight to predict movements, and Sakura trains her on mastering chakra control so she can use the Sharingan for longer periods, with her parents telling her until she masters chakra control, her stamina will give out when using the Sharingan for long periods of time. But as we see in the Boro fight, when she's breaking down Boro's jutsu, Sarada is constantly cutting her Sharingan on and off so as to conserve chakra. As an academy student, she's already showing that while her chakra control isn't necessarily on the level of someone like her adult mother Sakura, she was still ahead of the curve in this regard compared to the others in her generation, being able to amp her physical strength using chakra to outright shatter the ground with a single punch, leaving behind a massive crater like we saw in Naruto chapter 709 when she took out the army of Shin clones. And later on in episode 175, we see her chakra amp punches. They crack deepest carbon armor, something that not even Sage Mode Mitsuki's chakra blast was able to do in episode 166. It's all due to her increased proficiency at chakra control. With Sarada, we see her continuing to progress towards her goal of being Hokage and to seek power through love and the dedication she feels to her comrades and her village. It's what led to her mastering fire release from directly training under Sasuke and having the natural aptitude for lightning release. And at some point by the Mujina Bandits arc, she's already completed the change in chakra nature drills in order to learn wind release, shown when she used wind release alongside Mitsuki to help Boruto secure a victory against Tsukio in the Hozuki Castle arc of Boruto episode 147, which is a reminder, having the Sharingan doesn't mean that she can copy every chakra nature she sees. She has to have already mastered or had an affinity for that chakra nature in order for the Sharingan to copy. So if she hadn't mastered wind release before, she couldn't have actually copied Mitsuki's jutsu. While it's unknown how long she trained to get either chakra nature, given that Sasuke in Naruto's manga and the Uchiha Massacre flashback masters fire release in a week, something that his own father says should be impossible, and Kakashi tells us in the Katsuki suppression arc that Sasuke, though he did struggle when it comes to mastering lightning release, he still did it in only a few days. Given that she's Sasuke's daughter, it's not crazy to assume that she only needed at best a week to master each chakra nature, but what I find interesting is that she's quietly putting in the work needed to chase down her dream, and it's a contrast to her father. Sasuke, when he got fire release, was chasing his brother Itachi and chasing his father Fugaku's approval. When he got lightning release, Sasuke was training with the ultimate goal to kill his brother Itachi, trying to master Chidori and assassination jutsu, but Sarada, training to master these chakra natures, is doing so with the intention of becoming a skilled enough person to win the recognition that is required to be the first Uchiha to ever become Hokage. Her desire to get stronger is rooted in something different. It's more pure, and it's something that her own father Sasuke acknowledges, because as we see in the story Naruto Shinden Parent and Child Day, Sasuke, as he's directly training his daughter Sarada, notices her rapid growth, particularly when it comes to Shuriken Jutsu, and he flat out says that due to how different they are, she's going to be a better Hokage than he ever could have been had he ever gotten the position, which, given Sasuke's doom and gloom vision of being a dictator slash Hokage, that's a low bar to clear, but the point is still there. Sasuke sees something different in his daughter's development, and for the first time in the timeline, he tells her that he's supporting her goal to be Hokage, which for someone like Sasuke, that's a big deal, because Sasuke knows the dark shadow of the Uchiha clan clan that hangs over the entire clan's head. Sarada has to overcome the specter of Madara Uchiha, which, as we saw in the Boruto anime episode where they held the 16th anniversary for the 4th Ninja War, and Ao returned to Konoha in order to speak to Shikamaru and Ino, Tsunade, when giving the speech about the war, she directly drops Madara's name, showing that Madara's ghost that still looms over the village as a specter. The Uchiha, they might have co-founded the village, but there's literal bloodshed when it comes to the Uchiha, and for Sarada, it's a weighted cross that she has to carry on her shoulders, making it much harder for her to walk the long path of being the Hokage. Because while not everyone knows her grandfather attempted a coup on the village, there are still those who are in a position of power who do know, and most importantly, we do know that Sarada knows quite a bit about the truth of her clan in a scene that was never adapted into the Boruto anime, where in Naruto Retsuden, the 7th Hokage and the Spiral of Destiny, we're told that Sasuke takes Sarada to the Uchiha monument so that Sasuke can speak to her, that Sasuke goes there when he returns to the village. In the section of the village where the Uchiha compound used to be, it's implied that Sasuke has begun telling his daughter the truth about the clan, which I've also done a whole video explaining that, titled Why Sasuke Takes Sarada to the Uchiha Memorial. And as we see in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 1, she knows of Sasuke's past as a rogue ninja, which goes back to what we just went over. Sasuke, before being forced to leave the village to protect Boruto in Chapter 80 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, has begun arming her with the knowledge of her clan, because if she is to be Hokage, she has to know the significance of what it means to be the first Uchiha to ever be Hokage. Sarada's continued support of Boruto during the events of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is a great boomerang moment to what he told her in the Mitsuki desertion arc of the anime, where he says that if she wants to be Hokage, her ambition is meaningless if she is quick to give up on her friends. Boruto's words to her, offering support with a harsh truth, it kept her on the path needed to become a future Hokage, and we see it playing out in Boruto's time skip because she is refusing to stand down, even when Shikamaru tells her that her continued support of Boruto will prevent her from becoming Hokage one day. Sarada doesn't budge in her support of the friend who told her a real Hokage would never abandon their friends in a time of need, even when the whole world and all the facts are telling them that they should. It's what makes Sarada telling Shikamaru how Naruto never gave up on Sasuke despite having every reason to. It makes it hit home so much harder because Sarada at this point, she gets it, and she's continuing to carry that burden of love and enduring because the strength that comes from love, which goes back to the original point. She is the first child born of Indra's descendants after the cycle of hatred's been broken, a clan known for its strong capacity for love, which led to many of them giving into hatred, because as Madara tells us in the manga, when someone knows love, they run the risk of knowing hatred. Sarada, in spite of knowing what Kawaki has done to Boruto by framing him for Naruto's death and the suffering he's placed upon Boruto and Sasuke as a result, she doesn't give into her hatred, even when she's face to face with Kawaki in the Hokage office, as he tells her to her face that he's going to kill Boruto. She could have easily given into her hatred right there, but she didn't, and it's not anything new. Even in the Funato clan arc of the anime, when Ikada appears to have killed Boruto in front of Sarada and Mitsuki, Sarada, despite the sadness that she feels, she isn't driven into despair, and out of her love for Boruto and the respect for his wishes, she does not engage in conflict with the Funato clan because Boruto tells her, don't give in to hatred if Ikada kills me, because it'll just continue the cycle of fighting. Sarada does a better job of controlling her hatred than Mitsuki does at this point, who is flickering back and forth between Sage Mode. That's the true burden of love for Sarada. For someone such as her, who has such a strong capacity for love, she can find herself in a position where she herself risks knowing what it means to actually hate, something that she's never experienced before, and how she responds to that hatred is going to be key. If she is to become the first Uchiha to be Hokage, she has to learn to not succumb to the hatred that so many talented Uchiha before her have actually done, yet not ignore the fires burning from that strong emotion, and instead find a way to draw upon it for the power that's going to be needed to protect the village moving forward. What others before her might have actually viewed as being a weakness, Sarada might truly be on the path to be the first Uchiha to right the ship in a very long and cursed history of her clan when she does indeed become Hokage. If you've enjoyed this Sarada Uchiha video essay and maybe you want to see one about Boruto Uzumaki, click here to watch the playlist with all the video essays on the channel.